Hello everybody, my name is Bragster and welcome to a brand new series. So, as those of you may know, I am a massive fan of the game Football Manager, so I've decided to do a brand new series, and it is a very, not only risky, but also very crazy. This series, as you can see by the title, is called Give and Take. Yes, I named it that. Yep, I'm expecting innuendo comments at some point. But yes, the series is called Give and Take, and it has a very unique, I feel like, premise to it. A very different feel to most series, and that's because you will see different footballers throughout the entire series. If my team ends up being the same, then it's a miracle, because that won't happen. It will be different after the first two games. But with that said, it's best that I just go over the rules. So I've decided to make a episode 0 ground setting, all of that jazz, with my little jazz hands on the side. I've decided to do that and make this episode 0 introduce you to what this series is. This series is about giving players away and taking players into your own club. So that's hence the name, Give and Take. This will happen in every single match, guaranteed. Unless it's a 0-0 draw. The only time you don't lose a player or gain a player is if it's a 0-0 draw. So without further ado, the rules. I know, really fancy. The fact that I have to go over the rules and have to put up graphics says a lot, doesn't it? So, if I win a match, I will take the highest rated player from the other team. The number of players I take equals the number of goals scored, and that is the highest rated player from that team in that game. So, like, you know, the likelihood is if it's like a very high scoring game, the likelihood is I'll probably end up taking one of their like attacking players. If it's a low scoring win, I'll probably take one of their defensive players. Depends how it ends up going. However, even if I win, if I concede a goal, I will lose my lowest rated player from my team in that game. So if anyone has a bad game, they are gone. Again, number of players equals the number of goals conceded this time. If I lose, it is flipped reversed, which means that I will take the lowest rated player from their team, number of players corresponding to the number of goals I score, and then I will lose my highest rated players from that game. Again, number of players lost is the number of goals I concede in that game. Now you're going to be thinking, what happens if there is a draw? So if there is a draw, both teams will take the lowest rated players from that game. So therefore, you know, if your team has fought back to get that 2-2 draw, anyone that has really done well in that match will stay. I feel like it's a good way of you keeping things swapping and changing. However, you are keeping it to the bare minimum of what I'd actually probably care about. Although I can guarantee that one of my best players will end up having an absolute mare. Is basically the point there. And then you're thinking, right, so we've got win, lose and draw. What's this little bit of text at the bottom here? It is if a player gets sent off, their contract is terminated for either team. So that could mean that someone like Xhaka is going to be screwed. Yeah, any sendings off in a game that I play on this in this series will have their contract immediately terminated. They will go out on a free from that moment on. This series is bloody mental. Players will be swapping and changing from start to finish, and I think you've kind of will know that now from hearing all of these rules. That is exactly what's going to happen. Like, this is a crazy series. I know that. I know this series could go horribly wrong very, very quickly. I know that. I've done a test run of this before on the previous FM, and it went horribly, horribly wrong. And let's see if it works here. It should work really well as a series. I'm hoping you guys will be excited for it. Obviously, I think a first question would be, what about the cup competitions, you know, the cup ties and all of that. I'm using the in-game editor to swap and change players if you haven't worked that out already. But what's going to happen in the cup competitions where they get cup tied? Now, that I know will be an issue. I know that. I know it will be an issue. But it's one of those things where, like, it is just one of those things with the cup ties. Is I could try and meddle with the rules in some way, but sod's law, innit? If they're cup tied, they're cup tied. That's just part and parts of the series. That's going to be part and parts of it getting more and more difficult the further you get in these cup competitions. So, yeah. The other rule I might make, I haven't made this an official rule yet, so do put it down in the comments if you want it, which would be, if I gain a player, I have to play them in the next match. I have to. Tell me what you think of that. I wouldn't mind not doing it. I wouldn't mind definitely doing it. It's just popped into my head. I think it'd actually make the series a little tougher, as if it wasn't tough enough already, with everyone swapping and changing. But if you want it to be a rule where any new player has to play the next match, we'll do that. That is no worries about that. So, getting on to the big question, and then you've probably already seen it in the thumbnail or something, but what is the team I'm taking on? What team is going to be running away in the Premier League in this give and take series? Well, quite simply, it's Southampton. I'm going to go with Southampton. Now, if you look at Southampton's team, obviously they've got a few people down here who are on international duty when I made this. I was just like setting everything up ready for the series. They've got a really good squad. They really have got a good squad. You've got Walker Peters and Bertrand, some very good stuff. You've got two very good goalkeepers. Their centre-back is probably their weakest position, I have to say. Although they have got a couple in Bednarek and Vestergaard as well, but anywhere else is a bit weak. We've got some very good wingers, some very underrated wingers. Our centre midfield is obviously very strong. I think we all know that. And obviously, Che Adams and Danny Ings up top. You cannot go wrong. So I really do feel as though with this series, I felt like Southampton were a good choice. They're a mid-table side. I think they're predicted to finish. Is it 11th? I think they're predicted to finish. Yeah, 11th. So just below Leeds, expected to finish about 11th. So because they're predicted to finish about 11th, it really makes the series very interesting, because we could do really well and start pushing up for Europe, or we could do really badly and start being down in this relegation scrap. Or we could end up having just an average season. But I don't think that would happen with everything that's going on in this series. So that's who I'm going to go with. I feel like it is the best choice, so we're going to go with that. Speaking of schedule, in the first, I'm going to play through every single match if that wasn't obvious, so this could be a very long series. Obviously it's going to be like, what, 19, more than 19 episodes long, about 19-20 episodes long. So this is going to be quite a long series on the channel. It's not going to be as short as like the Bottom Up Christmas Challenge unless I get sacked. But hopefully, fingers crossed, I don't get sacked. But we are looking at this. So the next, well, for the first episode, the two games will be Arsenal, and then we've got a game against Wickham in the Carabao Cup. It'd be interesting to see if we gain any players. If we gain some bloody good players from Arsenal, that'd be a very good start to the series. And then we've got Wickham to hopefully gain a few there. Imagine losing some Premier League players to Wickham. Like, who are in what league? the Championship. So you'd be sending some like Premier League players down to the Championship and stuff. That's the joys of the cup competitions. That's why I'm quite excited by them. But I think I've gone over everything. If you do have any questions, do put them down in the comment section down below. I won't record the next episode. I won't record the first episode of this until this video's gone out, just so I can answer any questions that you have in the comments down below. So yeah, I think that is everything. I know this is like a very convoluted, a very nuts idea, and this could go horribly wrong, but I want your support, and I would love it if you could drop a like on this video, comment anything down below so you do not miss a thing, right? Comment down below what you're looking forward to about the series, do you, or maybe what you want me to explain a bit more of. Are you looking forward to this? Give and Take is here, and oh boy, this is going to be fucking crazy. So let's just have a good time with it. Let's have a lovely little time with this series. I feel like I've not been excited about a new series like this for a while. I've had this in the can for a while, so I want to get this up and going. So let's just go into it. Hit that like button if you like the video. Comment anything down below, please. I want to know whether you want this series. And if you're new here, please do subscribe so you don't miss an episode of this, because trust me, with the rules we've got, if you miss one episode, Jesus Christ, the landscape of my team will look completely different. So without further ado, I will see you at the start of this series. See ya!